This is a Balanced Brain podcast with your hosts, Melanie Nicholson and Sean Clift.
Hi, it's Melanie from the Balanced Brain podcast. Today I'm going to give Sean a call for one of our Brain Snap episodes. Sean started Jujitsu training with his little girl Rosanna a few months ago, and I'm keen to listen to how it's going. So we'll just give him a call now.
Hello, Melanie.
Hey, Sean, how you going?
Pretty good.
Good. You're live on air. Yes, very good. You're good. And I've just been telling the listeners that we're going to chat about your jiu-jitsu training with your little girl, Rosanna. So tell us how it's going.
It's amazing. It's amazing, Mel. it started like this. My little girl's been doing jiu-jitsu for about 18 months. And she started doing it as a, after-school care program. They do it at the school.
Yeah.
It's not run by the school. It's run by the Jiu-Jitsu club. And I kind of went and saw a couple of bits and pieces of when she was doing it. But a year into it, she did her grading to go from her white belt to her yellow belt. And I was just blown away with what she was doing in that grading. I hadn't seen all of what she does. And I started talking to the guy that ran the program, ran the whole the club, the Jiu-Jitsu club, and he convinced me to join up.
Oh.
So I did.
Yeah.
So I started my first class in just before Christmas last year. So I've been doing it for just over 6 months. So I'm a white belt.
Oh, white belt. And are there other parents there?
No.
No.
I'm definitely the oldest in the class, in my class, in the adult class. So I'm probably one of the oldest white belts to start.
Yeah.
But there's people in my class that range from age group from 15 through, well, I'm the oldest. But there's a couple of us that are in sort of late 30s, early 40s. But most people are sort of in their early 20s. It's great. I love it.
Great. And Rosanna's 6, right? Like 6 now?
She's 6. So
She's
she
6,
does a totally different class to me. So she does it on a Thursday afternoon, and my classes are on Tuesday nights.
Okay, great. And how do you think it's helped Rosanna and yourself, like in ways that, what's it done for you?
Rosanna was quite timid in her early years. So, she sort of, she kind of needed reassurance before sort of doing anything. She's sort of a little bit unconfident at times. I saw her confidence really grow with jiu-jitsu. She became, quite confident in her abilities. It definitely helped with her skill level and coordination. It just gives us something to sort of drive for each week. It gives them a little bit of discipline. Like it helps her understand that to get to the next sort of level, she has to put in the work, which is really good. You don't get something without putting in the work. So I think that's really great for her. Plus the sort of social contact and social connection is always really good as well.
Yeah, great. And how do you think it's helped with like Rosanna's confidence and with you participating in something like that with your daughter?
Well, like I said, I don't actually do it with Rosanna, although we do kind of muck around at home.
Do you share tips? Do you share tips when you...
We share tips.
Yeah.
So actually, Rosanna and I were talking about jiu-jitsu in the car on the way home from school. So it's something that we kind of bonded together about because we're at about the same level. So we're learning a couple of the same techniques each, which is really interesting to do. But for me, Mel, like I was just sort of going through a bit of a phase where, I was a bit lost there for a little bit. I'd just been through a marriage breakdown and it was sort of, I was sort of spending a lot of time on my own, a lot of time at home on my own, and I just wanted to really push myself. I wanted to do something that I was sort of out of the house, something that was really out of my comfort zone. I'd never done any kind of martial arts before, any sort of boxing or anything like that. It was so radically different for me. I've sort of done a lot of team sports over the years. And I just sort of wanted to have something that I was sort of pushed into doing each week.
Yeah.
And so for me, sometimes it's something that I never really feel like doing because I got a physical job. I come home from work. I'm physically tired. I'm physically drained. And it's hard for me to get the motivation to pack a bag and go to jiu-jitsu once or twice a week. But I find that once I get there, I just really get into it and I really enjoy it. And it is hard. It is physical. It is like I'm learning something that's totally new. It is really sort of pushing my boundaries and, it's been a real challenge and I've got a lot out of it.
And
I've
how
got
do you
so
push
much out of it.
yourself, Sean, if you like really don't want to go? Like, what are do you give yourself a pep talk? Like, what sort of things do you do just to actually get there?
Sometimes I do, Mel. Sometimes I do give myself
Yeah.
a little pep talk. Sometimes I'll be just at the point where I think, oh, look, I can always just go next week because it's one of those activities that you're sort of working against yourself. Like you need people to help you do it. Like you need to work with a partner or a group of people who know how to fall and are learning the techniques that you are or are more advanced than you, which let's face it, everyone in my class is more advanced than me. But so you just sort of say, well, I've got to go and do this. This is something for myself, and I know that I'll feel better when I get there.
Yeah, it's the same with any
As
exercise.
I start warming up, I think, thank God, I'm really happy that I can.
Yeah.
So sometimes I've just got to say, look, just get your bag packed, get in the car. Once you get there, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I do have to give myself a little pep talk.
So what's the philosophy of jiu-jitsu? Like because it's not just like a form of exercise. There's a whole philosophy around it, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I really love about it. So there's a couple of disciplines. So the discipline that I'm doing is called Japanese Jujitsu, which is one of the sort of original Japanese martial arts. So our discipline incorporates some of the other disciplines like judo and karate. So there's not just wrestling in my form of jiu-jitsu. We also do kicks and strikes and self-defense tactics. So it's not a competition discipline, the martial art that I'm doing. It's a technique-based discipline.
Yeah.
So it's quite technical as well as being physical. It was originally, there's a lot of history about it, but it was originally sort of designed by the samurai. So, it's really interesting. So what I love about it is that it's not just physical. There's a lot of mental aspect to it. When we go to training, we do a lot of stretching, we do a lot of warming up. Often we do some breathing activities. There's some disciplines around just sort of shadow moves that you can incorporate in with meditation, which I find really, really interesting as well. Yeah, I've got a lot out of it. I've sort of become like semi-obsessed with jiu-jitsu. Like it's something now that I think about a lot. I'm constantly looking at jiu-jitsu techniques and moves on YouTube, and my daughter and I talk jiu-jitsu all the time. It's something that's I never really thought that I'd get right into. I thought that I'd sort of force myself into doing something, and now it's something that I really look forward to, and I'm really working hard to get my yellow belt. So I'll be 47. Hopefully by the end of this year, I might be able to have all my I need to learn 20 techniques before I can get my yellow belt.
Okay. And Sean, if anyone's listening and is thinking, oh my God, I'm not fit enough, I'm not, I haven't done anything for a long time, like what do you say to that? Like in someone feels like they have to have a certain level of fitness or they have to have the coordination, like what's your thoughts around that?
Well, it's a really great thing to get into because it's one of those disciplines where you really are working against yourself. So it is something that you can really do at your own pace. So I've got guys in my class who are learning to be a sensei. So they're a black belt and they're working through to be a sensei. I've got a guy that's in my class who's a brown belt who will be going for his black belt very shortly. They're amazing. They're amazing guys to watch. They're an inspiration. They're in their early 20s. Whenever I work with them doing sparring or techniques, I learn so much so quickly. But yet I've only been doing it for 6 months. So I can do work with them and they can help me. And at the same time, I can help them because essentially they're manipulating me into moves. And as long as I've learned how to fall correctly, they can work with me. So I'm pretty fit in my job, but it's something that you can do at your own pace. You sort of progress at your own pace. You're not really sort of fighting anyone as such. You're just learning techniques and a discipline. So you can sort of work your way up as quickly or as slowly as you like. So that's what I really like about it. I've got into it really quickly. But, it's something that you really are working at your own pace.
And do you
So
have any
I'm-
women
I'm-
training with you? Is there any?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes, I do. And in fact, there's a 15-year-old girl in my class, a 15-year-old young lady in my class. And actually on my first lesson, my sensei wanted to demonstrate to me how it was a discipline that had nothing to do about power or strength.
Yep.
That it was often about balance and getting people to shift off their balance. So on my first lesson, I was partnered with a young 15-year-old, and basically Serena was able to get me off balance. She's a blue belt, so she's been doing it for quite a long time, but she was able to get me off balance fairly quickly, and within 30 seconds she had thrown me on the ground. and what was so great about that, Mel, what was so great about that is that after that, she showed me what to do, and I got her off balance and threw her to the ground. And instead of there being this big drama about a 15-year-old girl on the ground, she sort of looked at me and just went, yes, that's it. That's how you do it. And was so excited and jumped up and showed me again. And I was like, oh, this is just fantastic.
Yeah. So what?
So, yeah, there's quite a few females in my class, actually.
Yeah.
And they love it. They're right into it as well.
So what's the next steps to get to the next belt? Like what's...
Yeah, so in the discipline that I'm doing, it's about basically my sensei, the leader of our class, will nominate when we're ready to be graded.
Yep.
There's a grading coming up. I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be nominated for the next grading. So basically then you go and you demonstrate your techniques in front of the black belt senseis, and they will decide whether or not you can do them correctly to receive your next belt.
Yeah, and it's so awesome that you get to talk to Rosanna about you're doing it separately, but you also have that in common and having that connection.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's really great. It's a great sport to do with kids, even though you're not going to be in the same class. If you're sort of learning at the same, you're learning at the same sort of pace, you can sort of talk about it. Like I understand exactly what she's doing, so like I can kind of ask her or get her to show me what's happening, or I can sort of talk to her about whether she's ready for her grading. It's something that sort of bonded us. Even though we had a really great bond, it's just something else that you can kind of, we can talk. We talk about Jujitsu. She's 6 and I'm 47. We talk about Jujitsu all the time.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening in and wanting just to have that little push towards doing something different, even if it's Jujitsu or anything else, like what would you say?
I'd say give it a go. I did this to force myself into pushing the boundaries, doing something new, doing something totally different. I didn't know whether I'd like it. And I remember the first lesson that I went to, I thought, oh, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? And I was really nervous, and I was really kind of questioning as to, whether it was the right thing to do, or am I going to be able to do it? Am I too inflexible? Am I too old to learn something new? But you're never too old. You're never too old to give something a go. whether it's learning a new language or picking up an instrument for the first time or going out hitting a golf ball, I don't know, whatever it is that you think, I'd love to give that a go, just give it a go. If it doesn't work,
yeah,
you just don't do it. But you never know. You might find something that you find, a new passion for, which is what's happened to me.
that sounds awesome. And I'm sure Rosanna loves that you're participating in that. Anything else, Sean, to add to what you've learned through Jiu-Jitsu and your time with Rosanna doing Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, I think, it's like everything. If you commit to something, then you sort of force yourself to go and do it. So you're setting yourself a goal. So that's the other thing for me, is that I want to achieve my yellow belt. So to get my yellow belt, I have to perfect 20 different techniques. To do them takes discipline to go each week and to work hard to be able to get ready for that. So if I get to the stage where hopefully by the end of the year, and I'll let you know when that happens, that I get my yellow belt, I'll be super proud of myself.
Yeah.
To achieve something like that in my late 40s, and I can see I'm getting better each week. It's realistic for me to be able to do that by the end of the year. So I've got this goal that I'm striving towards, and it's not about work, and it's not about money, and it's not about all that other rubbish. It's just simply about me.
Yeah.
And I just find that sort of drives you to keep going and do something that's hard, putting yourself in a difficult situation, putting yourself in a situation where people are throwing punches at you at times, that it's confronting, it's hard, it's frightening, it's new. But the rewards come from that struggle, and that it's hard, and that, you're achieving something because it's difficult is so rewarding.
Great. And that sounds like a great way to finish up this episode, because that is a perfect advice at the end. So if anyone's listening out there, we'll put some show notes in about Jiu-Jitsu training, and we'll catch up next time, Sean.
Great to talk, Mel.
Thanks so much.
Okay, I'll speak soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. Just a reminder that we have 26 episodes so far for you to listen to. So if you'd like to subscribe, that really helps us to get more episodes out. And everything is about personal stories of transformation and health and well-being. So thanks so much for listening. Chat to you later. Bye.